Salamullahi alaikum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh. How are you, my dear sisters? Today, inshallah, we are going to continue our journey in Tajweed. We did stop at letter Noon and we did study the articulation part of letter Noon and from where it's articulated and its main characteristics or sifat. And we cover the main points about letter Noon. It's from sifat point of view and makhraj or. Today, inshallah, we are going to take the articulation point or to study the articulation point or the makhraj of letter Ra. Makhraj Ra. Let's share the pictures with you. Well, now you can see. Well, my dear sisters, before I begin explanation about letter Ra, articulation point, I would like to remind you about the parts of the tongue because we stopped for quite a long time, about 1.5 months. So this is if you remember, this is the tongue, and we divided the tongue as a whole to the root of the tongue, back of the tongue, middle of the tongue, and tip of the tongue, and at the end, the head of the tongue. Root, back, middle, tip, head. Yes, you remember? And quick revision, root of the tongue, Ain, ha, back of the tongue, qaf and kaf, middle of the tongue, jim, sheen, yeah, tip of the tongue. This is, we are still working with, we did take letter noon, yes, and today, inshallah, we are going to take letter ra. Ra, it's from this area, from the tip of the tongue. This is, we have two organs. This is the first organ, the tip of the tongue, or in Arabic, طرف اللسان. طرف اللسان, the tip of the tongue. This is the air. Okay? Very well. Let's share another picture. Now you can see. Well, my dear sisters, the ra is pronounced from the tip of the tongue, which you just see, you just have seen where it is the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue with the alveolar ridge behind the articulation point of the noon. I will repeat. I will repeat. Kindly close, mute all your microphones. Kindly, okay? I will repeat. Tip of the tongue, you have already seen. With the alveolar ridge. Alveolar ridge. You remember the alveolar ridge? Let me revise this with you because I'm afraid that maybe you forget what is the alveolar ridge. Well, the alveolar ridge, my dear, it is this area. This area is the alveolar ridge, okay? This is the alveolar ridge. So back to letter Ra. So letter Ra, it is the tip of the tongue with the alveolar ridge behind the articulation point of the noon. Articulation point of the noon, my dear sister, it was the alveolar ridge of the upper central incisor. Okay? So the noon articulation point was the tip of the tongue, the same area, but with the alveolar ridge of the upper central incisor. You remember? And Ra, it is also the tip of the tongue, but with the alveolar ridge behind the articulation point of noon. So pronounce an, huh? the ra behind. Ar, 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 ar. Okay? But what happened? What happened that the tip of the tongue will be curved, my dear sister, will be curved. So only the right and the hand side, the right and the left hand side will be touching or making full contact with the alveolar ridge, while the middle part of the tip of the tongue will be left free, not touching, not making contact with the alveolar ridge, because this is the place from where the sound will escape. If I close this area, my dear sisters, the sound of the ra will be trilled. And this is a characteristic or a صفة التكرار which must be avoided. The characteristic of التكرار or flapping or trilling, this is a صفة or characteristic which must be avoided. The sound of Arabic ra is not trilled too much. Ar, 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 ar. So the tip of the tongue will be curved. Only the tip, only the tip. The tip. Only the tip will be curved. Not all the tongue. Do not curve all your tongue. No, only the tip will be curved from right and left. And this is the area where it will make full contact with the alveolar ridge, while the middle part will be left free to allow the sound to escape through. If I close the middle part, the ra will trill too much. And this is not the Arabic ra. Ar, 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 ra, ru, ri, ar, ar. Fine, fine. What the mistake you are going to do, or maybe a lot will do, is to compare the sound of the Arabic ra with any ra, because letter ra or r, it's common in different languages, but with different techniques. So the sound is not the same. Our Arabic ra had no equivalent. Exactly 100% no. Like any other ra in any other language. Each language has its own way to pronounce, its own technique, phonetic, in other words, to pronounce the letter, which may look common or similar, but there is difference in the technique and how we pronounce it, in the articulation point, in al-makharij, and in as-sifat, and in the articulation point and in its characteristics. That's why the letters are different from one language to another. Okay? Okay. Mistakes you can make. You can commit. What? Pronounce the ra like the English or the French ra. R. That means that you are curving. If this is the tongue, to pronounce the R, you are going to curve the tip of the tongue like this. You are going to curve it like this. This is not the Arabic ra. Arabic ra, it is only the right and the left which will be curved. The middle will be left free. Okay? This is number one, first mistake. Second mistake, you are going to close this part, the middle part of the tip. Okay? In such a case, all the tip will make full contact with the alveolar ridge. The ra will trail too much. Ar, ar, ar. This is not the Arabic ra. Ar, ar. Only. Regarding the characteristics of the sifat of the ra, we first look for the running of the sound. When we pronounce the ra, the articulation point is not totally opened, neither totally closed. It's some place in between. That's why it is an in between letter or حرف بيني, حرف متوسط, which means that the sound is not that running. Also, it's not that stop. It's someplace in between letter or semi-continuous sound. So this is regarding the running of the sound. It's an in between letter لن عمر. لن عمر. It's حرف متوسط or بيني or in between or semi-continuous. Regarding running of the air, ar, ar, if you put your hands before your mouth, there is not a lot of air, not like the letters of بحثه شخص سكت. No, so it's not a voiceless letter, it's a voice. حرف مجهور. The air is not running a lot when I'm pronouncing the ra, the Arabic ra. Regarding being full mouth or حرف مفخم or light letter or حرف مرققة, well, sometimes, my dear sister, the ra, by the way, ra, it's the the letter which has the biggest number of sifats or the biggest number of characteristics in the Arabic letters. Regarding ra, sometimes when inshallah we will take a sifat lesson or the characteristics lesson, we will study in detail. But now we take only the overview of the sifat. Sometimes the ra is mufakham. Sometimes the ra is a heavy letter. Sometimes it's a light letter. And sometimes I can pronounce it as a full mouth or an empty mouth, or as a heavy or as a light. I can pronounce it like this or like this. So I have three cases for the ra. Full mouth always, light, empty mouth or light letter or raq always, or some I can pronounce either this or that according to the case. We will study inshallah in detail in a sifat or in the characteristic lesson. What's important here for us in al-makharij lesson, that when you pronounce the ra mufakhama or the heavy ra or the full mouth ra, you are going to achieve all the things which are important for any sound which is heavy sound. We did take it before. Two things with a heavy sound, with a heavy letter, with a heavy ghunna. Two things. Back of the tongue will be higher and the epiglottis will be returned toward the wall of the throat. Two things. Back of the tongue will be higher and the epiglottis will be returned to the wall of the throat. Those two things will make any sound heavy sound, because it will push the sound to the direction of the roof of the tongue. This will make the mouth will be filled with this sound, will have a kind of echo, and this is what make any sound heavy sound. With a light ra or empty mouth ra or ra al-muraqqaqa, it will be the opposite. Back of the tongue will be lower and the epiglottis will be remain as where it is. Okay. Another one sifa for ra, which we did mention while we were explaining, it is the atikrar or trailing, and it is a sifa or it is a characteristic to be avoided. And there is another sifa called al-inhiraf. Al-inhiraf means that the sound had to come from both sides to run through this tiny opening. So the sound is not running straight, but had to turn from right to left and take this path. This is called al-inhiraf, means the sound is changing its straight way to run through this tiny way. Al-inhiraf. Well, this is about the articulation point of the ra. It's need only some practice to pronounce the proper ra. Ra, of course, it's repeated always in Quran. Every recitation we say Bismillahir Ra, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ar-Ra, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So it's repeated always during our recitation. We are going to, inshallah, to share the examples. Okay. Now you can see. We will begin pronunciation as usual with the um, letter when it has sukoon. Okay. When it has sukoon, if you remember, my dear sisters, all the characteristics of the sifat must be very well uh, noticed or pronounced. All the sifat in between letter, حرف بينين مجهور voiced. I will, it could be heavy sound, light sound, or in between. Okay, here because it's preceded by hamza with fath, so of course it's going to be a heavy letter. It's because of the case. And then the trailing or the tikrar, al-inhiraf, all this will be clear. As usual, inshallah, since starting from here, I will leave you time to repeat after me, okay? And the words, we are pronouncing the words which having the letter of ra only, not the whole ayah, to concentrate upon the letter, unless all the ayah or the majority is having letter ra. So we are going to, inshallah, recite it. Ar, 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 ra. You remember, my dear sister, remember, we said that any letter with any short vowel, when we pronounce, we have to achieve two makhraj, two articulation points. Number one, we have to pronounce the letter from its articulation point. And number two, I will leave the articulation point of the letter, and I will move to the articulation point of the short vowel. Never, ever pronounce the short vowel while. Sorry for this. Sorry for this interruption. This is a net problem. It was cut and now we are back. Sorry for this, but it's net problem. So, okay, my dear sister, we are back. Alhamdulillah. So when we pronounce any, there's a problem with the net today. I hope it will not happen again. When we pronounce any letter with a short vowel, we pronounce the letter itself from its articulation point, and then I leave the articulation point, and I will go to the articulation point of the short vowel. Never pronounce the short vowel while your tongue still in the articulation point of the letter. This is a very common mistake, especially it will be clear, especially with the kasra. It happens with the majority, even in Arabic, even Arabic ones. Majority with the kasra. Ra. First, ra, huh? Ra, articulation of the ra, and then the fatha. Ru, ru, ri, ri, and no smiling position when you recite Quran. No smiling position. Not ra, not ri, ra, ri, it's imala. Ra, ri, it's imala. Ra, ri, lower the lower jaw. Smiling position, no. الرحمن الرحيم. أرى. أري. And notice, my dear sister, difference between this word and this word, it is that this word مشدد, the ra is مشددة with فتحة, while this مشددة with كسرة. So here the ra is full mouth ومفخم, and the here it's مرقق. را, 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 not ara. Hamza, it's a light letter. را, آري. وترى المجرمين يومئذ مقرنين. وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اغفر اغفر وارحم خير الرا را ربي مفخم، اغفر مرقق، وارحم فخم، خير مفخم، الراء مفخم. Well, my dear sister, this is the end of our Tajweed lesson today. I'm going to stop the recording now. سلام الله عليكم ورحمته وبركاته.